Good morning, students. I hope everybody is enjoying your weather as well as your health. So, as the condition I state, weather and health, so they are directly, indirectly involved with the topic for the day. So, that is environment or environment as we pronounce it. So, according to definition, it is the sum total of everything as you can see on the screen that is in and around an organism, and it includes both biotic and abiotic factors. And biotic means the living factor and abiotic means the non-living factor. So, these two factor, whether it is biotic or abiotic, so biotic is living as I have told you, and abiotic non-living, they affect us. So, as a result, we can break this ecosystem into various components. So, first is abiotic, other is biotic. So, under abiotic factors, we have climatic factors, so such as rain, temperature, light or wind, whatever it is, climatic conditions, they are under this heading. Other is called edaphic factors or edaphic, EDAPHIC factor. So, that is basically concerned with the topography or the soil nature. You can see soil, the pH of the soil, the mineral in it, and we all categorize them under topography. So, these are the abiotic component of ecosystem. While in case of the biotic factor, as I have told you, it means the living zone. It consists of producers, they are all the green plants called autotrophs, and consumers. And consumers are of various categories. It could be primary, it could be secondary, it could be tertiary or quaternary or quaternary. So, we are basically called the heterotrophs. That means they depend on producers for their survival. And the third one is called decomposers, that you can see here. So, decomposers consist of all the microbial world, bacteria and fungi, or we call them saprophytes, which basically feed on dead organic matter and then return the nutrient back to the nutrient cycle. So, in case of these, so we just have some definition that I have just told you. So, in case of ecosystem, so we have know it is biotic and abiotic interaction, and the term ecosystem was coined in the name. Sometime we do ask you, this term ecosystem was coined by Sir Arthur Tansley. Arthur Tansley. And I have told you in case of the types of ecosystem, so we have two types. One is the natural ecosystem, that consists of forest or grassland or deserts, ponds, rivers, estuaries and sea, so which are available on planet Earth, and hence the word natural ecosystem. Other is artificial, that means we have made the system. And in artificial ecosystem, it consists of garden, then aquariums, then agro ecosystem. So, is the basically the agro ecosystem is basically the largest man-made ecosystem. So, that consists of all the agricultural concept of growing crops and other things in the field. So, in case of biotic component that we have just seen in the chart, it is just a reminder. It consists of, underline the names, such plant those who can make their own food, including blue-green algae. So, consumers are the one which consumes them. They are again the second component of biotic factor. First was producers, then the carnivores, those who feed on the animals or the flesh of the animals, then omnivores, which feed on both plant animals, and then we have parasites which live into the host body, and then saprophytes that feed on dead plant or animals. So, check out the various components of biotic sector, starting from producers, consumers and down the order. You can pause the video and write down all these names. So, as a result, these ecosystem consist of lot many components. One of them is, or lot many terms, one of them is called food chain. So, underline this definition. So, it is a series of organisms which feeds on another organisms. So, that means who eats whom, that basically is short term for the food chain. Baki you can write the definition from the screenshot here. And there are various steps involved in the food chain, and basically we are talking about the transfer of energy at the various tropic levels, and this transfer is only unidirectional. So, directional is only in one direction from one to another tropic level. Now, this is the important part, that you should know the sum of the features of the food chain or characteristic features of food chain. So, number one, I have told you the flow of direction of energy is unidirectional. Then we generally have max to 3 to 4 tropic levels. So, fifth and other tropic levels are generally not possible because the availability of energy at that level is so low that it can't sustain the life. Then the food chain is always straight, because I have told you it is who eats whom type of definition here. And then organism can occupy different tropic levels in different food chain. So, these are some of the features or the characteristics of food chain. So, continue with it. As you have food chain, then we have also something called, in which the organism are entangled when they consume the food in terms of their food habits. That is called food web. So, underline the word interconnection of food chain. Interconnection of food chain is referred as food web, and food chain in basically and food web have this particular difference. So, food chain is a straight line option, food web is interconnected option. Then again you write down the features for food web. So, as I have told you, there are interlinking of food chain, and this is better option because it provide alternative pathway of availability of food. So, that means in food web there are more options for survival as compared to food chain. Then food web hence increases the stability of ecosystem. That means the organism can survive, and you can see this photo shot from your own textbook, you can concerned here. So, as you can see, this is whole the network of all the things happening in the particular system, and as a result you have this definition, as we have just told you, that it is an interconnected food chain operating in an ecosystem, and the food web, one organism may occupy more than one positions. As a result, it is more stable as compared to food chain. So, these terms should be known very clear to you, and then you please check it out, the importance of food chain in the system. So, number one importance is that gives you a better understanding of the relationships, that is the food relationship and interaction among the various organisms in the ecosystem, and the food chain transfer energy and material between the living components. Underline this term, it will help you out in order to know the importance or significance of food chain. Second is food chain transfer energy and material, that we just been discussed in the biosphere, and food chain give dynamicity of an ecosystem. Dynamicity means it gives more options for survival of an organism, though it is having various types of food chain operating in our ecosystem. Then further, most important part is that we can study something called biomagnification, that we will take it in this particular term or particular tutorial. So, that help us to know that what is the level of toxicity that is been running in the food chain, and that then further help us to manage the system and improve on it. The topic we will take afterwards. So, then we will check out the role played by decomposers, because they are the most important component of the food chain, because they return the nutrient back to the pool. So, number one, they clean the environment or environment, so it won't get completely devastated by the decomposed bodies. So, it helps in to clean the environment. Then it decomposes the biodegradable waste or the materials you can call, and I have told you they release the nutrient to the nutrient pool, and hence they maintain the nutrient pool by returning back the nutrients to the earth approximately. So please write down these points, pause the video for your respective help zone, and that will help you a lot for the preparation. Then second term comes, as we know there are various steps in the food chain. So we are now looking into something called ecological pyramids. What is it? It's nothing but a graphical representation that shows the biomass or bioproductivity at the different ecological pyramids. So it depends upon that it illustrates also that biomass indicates the biomass of members of the food chain. That means how many members are in the food chain. Depending upon that, we'll calculate the biomass of the food chain. And then of course it indicates the energy at different tropic levels. So that you can just check out the terms. So for example, you have taken the food chain where we have producers as grass, then rabbit in that, and the fox feed on rabbits. So there you can see the tropic number 1, the tropic 2 and the 3 like that. So this is first is referred as at the pyramid of numbers, means as you move in the food chain the number keep on decreasing. Then similarly second is the pyramid of biomass, and third is the pyramid of energy. So you can see as you move in these pyramids, the producer level has got the maximum of everything, and that illustrates that how the energy flow in the respective food chain. And this is one more example of the pyramid where we have taken the pyramid of biomass. It can also be shown in the inverted order. So this is the aquatic food chain you can see. So producers are the phytoplanktons. These are the microscopic plants in the water that act as a producer. Then they are consumed by zooplanktons. They are the microscopic animals, so herbivores we call them. Then they are the food for small fishes, primary consumers, and then the large fishes, secondary consumers. So it is again the same pyramid but in reverse order. Then you can check about that the food chains can be categorized into various categories that I have just let you know. Just recollect the techniques: the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. So these things will be repeated again and again. So make sure you should know the producers, consumers, and decomposers, what they role and what role they play in the system. Now this is the new topic that should be known to you because we do have problems and numericals on them. So it is called 10% law. So write down the word 10% law, and this law is given by Raymond Lindemann. Underline the name. So Raymond Lindemann, and it states that only the 10% of energy is transferred from one tropic level to another. Total of the energy that is been available, only 10% transfer, while 90% will be used present in the tropic level in different processes. So the remaining 90% will be used by the present tropic level in different processes. So only 10% energy is transferred, and because of the 10% stuff, so we have only have 3 to 4 tropic levels in food chain. So that is one give you a simple example that you can see. Say if you have a 1 million joules of solar energy available from the solar system, then plant consume the primary consumers, the 1% of it, approximately 10,000 joules. Then as we move from 10,000 to the upper hierarchy, so here we use the 10% law. So you can see at the tertiary level of the chain, say in case of the bird here, only 10 joule of energy is available. So as a result, you can find it out as you move away from the producers, the availability of food in terms of energy falls drastically, very drastically. And the same thing is illustrated here, that you can see in case of tropic levels. And tropic level, underline the definition. So tropic levels are the various steps in food chain at which the transfer of food or energy takes place. So various levels, and there is a gradual decrease in the amount of energy transfer that we have read about, that is 10% law, that you can see in the form of again the pyramid. So, write down these things. The various tropic levels are, the first is the plant, the producers, they are the first tropic level. Then herbivores, those feed on plants, are the secondary tropic level. Carnivores are also secondary consumers, make the third tropic level. And then large carnivores makes the fourth tropic level. As a result, you can see we move away from producers, the availability of energy decreases drastically, and that is shown by the energy transfer in food chain. So, as I have told you, they follow the 10% law. So, make sure this thing should be very, very clear in your mind. So, again you can see here the energy from the sun trapped by the producers in case of the grass, while the 90% is lost is the environment, only 10% utilized here. Then again goes to the herbivores, then goes to the carnivores, and you can see the loss is more as compared to energy they gain it 1 joule. And see, in case this here, when the lion feeds on the deer family, it only get approximately 0.1 joules of energy available. So, this gives you some idea that how much energy is lost. We call it as a community heat. So, write down this term, community heat, the energy lost here. So, these things should be known to you. And now comes the term that should be clear in your mind. So, we have told you what tropic level is, how much energy is transferred, then what is food web, and this is the term we are now moving in, biomagnification. So, write down the definition for biomagnification. So, it is the increase in the concentration of toxic chemicals in an organism per unit mass at each successive tropic levels in food chain. Each successive tropic level in food chain. So, increase in the toxicity of toxic chemicals in the body as you move in the food chain. So, this example gives you some understanding that how this biomagnification takes place. Say for example, in case of, this has been shown in terms of the contamination of the chemicals like DDT in water bodies. Say in case of water, it is just 0.50 followed 3, so 0.00003 ppm in water. It is quite minimal amount. But when the zooplankton feed or live in the water, these chemical move from this number to 0.04. You can see the jump. And when zooplankton is being consumed by the fish, it goes to 0.5 ppm. See the massive jump. And then when the fish consume these small fishes, it moves to 2 ppm, stands for parts per million, make sure. And then when the bird feeds on these fishes, see the jump, it becomes 25 parts per million. So, where it was starting at the end, approximately 0.03 ppm. You can imagine the minuscule amount, and same chemical can enhance to such a massive term, say 25 parts per million. And as a result, this toxicity damages the cell of a living organism, and we have lot many trouble and problems when the life further flourished. So, this biomagnification, as I have told you, underline the terms and write it down again if you want. So, it is accumulation or increase of the concentration of toxic chemicals, and it is different at different tropic levels. So, basically, we will deal with something called DDT. I hope you know the full form of it. So, dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethane. You check it out from the other sources for full form for DDT. So, in this case, they have just given you that the amount just like 0.04 parts per million of DDT can turn into the amount that you will be astonished to find in this particular example. You see, in the water it is just 0.02 parts per million. and when the phytoplanktons consume them, it turns into 5 parts of 5 ppm, parts per million. When fish consume, it goes to 240 ppm, and when we human consume the fishes, see the jump, it is 1600 parts per million. You can imagine how the things are growing in exponential order, and hence these toxic chemicals ultimately interfere in our body metabolism, and we suffer with lot many diseases as we move away from the producers. So that things should be known to you. So whenever you write about biomagnification, make sure example has to be quoted for it. Without example, this definition has approximately less marks to be given for that. Then come for the next topic called ozone. That is the current topic that we are most concerned with. So ozone, as I have told you, it is made up of 3 atoms of oxygen. Formula you know is O3. Is essential for the life on planet because it protects us against the UV radiation coming from the sun. And since UV radiation also damages our body organ, as well as it also damages the crops. So in order to prevent this UV damage, we have ozone in our layer called stratosphere. So write down the term. This layer of atmosphere consists of the ozone layer. And in case of ozone, you know, the high UV radiations break down the oxygen into oxygen atoms, and these oxygen atoms, when combined with oxygen molecule, they form ozone in that layer. And what happened in ozone layer depletion, we have read about a lot of things in previous classes also. So 1985 was the base year when the people around the world came to know and tried to minimize its depletion, you can call it. As a result of that, we do have got some good news also, but still we have to go way in our zone for preventing the depletion. The main cause for ozone depletion is CFC, called chlorofluorocarbons. We use in refrigerators and air conditioners and aerosols. And when the ozone layer becomes less and less and becomes ultimate thin, then of course UV radiation penetrates through it and falls on the organism living on the planet. So in 1987, we have the program from UNEP, you should know the full form, United Nations Environment Program, where they sign a memorandum to limit the uses of chlorofluorocarbons. And we call that memorandum, when they sign it, as Montreal Protocol. So this is the year they are mentioned, so please make note of it. It is a part of your respective text syllabi. Now this basically is the data that we should be knowing about it, that ozone layer is basically found in this stratosphere I have told you, in the range of 12 to 50 kilometers above sea level, and that layer is called ozonosphere. You can write it. But you should be astonished to know that the same gas ozone is a highly toxic gas at the ground level. Okay, and now underline the equation, that is photochemical reaction for the formation of it. So as I have told you, at that level, this oxygen, you can write it down O2 here, and HV stand for the photonic energy from the sun, split it into the oxygen atoms here, and one of the oxygen atom then combined with oxygen molecule to form ozone layer here. So that is a formation, and these are the various photonic wavelength from 1800 Armstrong to 2000 degree Armstrong, that even if you won't write, will manage yourself, no problem. And then ozone, I have told you, form the blanket around so that UV radiation should not come back to earth, because UV radiation causes, underline the name, number 1 skin cancer, number 2 cataract in the eyes. So these are the ill effects of UV, you can say it, or the things that we suffer if ozone goes on depleting. Then it weakens the immune system, it damages the plants because it won't allow them to flower, so the crop production will decrease. And as a result, I have told you that in 85, taken as the base year when they predicted and found the ozone hole over Antarctica. And this information is again very good for you. They say how to minimize this effect of ozone depletion. So main reason for depletion is the excessive use of CFCs, where we use it. Then we know we use a gas called freon as a refrigerant to cool the things, and even the fire extinguisher cause ozone depletion. You can see the number of things that causes depletion of ozone, and this is the problem, because a single chlorine molecule or chlorine atom, single chlorine atom can destroy 100,000 ozone molecules. You can see the magnitude of damage. A single atom, you see, can damage it. And then we have a second protocol called the Kyoto Protocol. That is again the same UNEP program, where they took the pledge to completely forego the CFC's application in industries, and so that we can manage to get our ozone healthy back. So these are some of the data that you should be knowing, that because we are again suffering from the disposal system, that how we dispose the garbage more or less that is produced by us in various format. So in order to deal with garbage, we have these some openings called open dumping, then we use it for landfillings. You can pause the video and check out the terms. Then composting is very good option, so that give you organic matter that can be used for agriculture sector. Recycling is one good economy for the country like ours, where employment is too short for the people. Then is reuse. So we can have some conventional technique to reuse, such as we can go for it for paper production, so because we can reuse the paper number of times, so that will help us to give this system a good boost. Then for the garbage disposal, we should take care of them, because accumulation of garbage finally makes the whole environment polluted. And these were the various things when the garbage was approximately used in other formats to minimize it. But generally this is the option method used, that what is the nature of the waste. So first method is incineration. So this is a process in which we heat the waste at a high temperature to form ash, and the machine is called incinerator. You can check it out, incinerator. And then conventional method was open dumping, but that dumping create a pollution, so that can be minimized, and look for the other options. So that could be the better one. So it is again just a repetition. You can just check out the stuff. Ecosystem components I have already told you. Then I have already told you about the definition. So the further information you can check it out, pause the video and write down the difference between biotic and abiotic factors. Then autotrophs and heterotrophs, that you can get it by the name itself, that autotrophs are the ones those who can make the food, hetero just can't, they depend on autotrophs for the food. Then this is a simple flow chart for the food web operating in our system. And this difference should be known to you between food chain and food web, and make sure this should be written down and then learn, because these differences are the main part for examination. So you can pause the video and then reread it or learn it and practice it. So as a result, you can see this whole ecosystem that we have told you, consisting of all these parts. And this already have told you the biomagnification. This term is very important. I am repeating again and again, because this is the main part for this chapter, you can say so. And without example, as I already have told you, it is not possible to explain the term. So these all topics, please read them, learn them, and pause the video and try to understand the things. And in order to have the better explanation, take the help of the textbook, also side by side, and your notes, and take care of your health and everything. And make sure that do like the video once you see it, and make sure that this topic should be known to you in better and good understanding. Thank you. Have a nice day.